Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you do, Alibis? Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Good to have you here. It's Thursday. We're going to jump into yesterday's testimony recap. But first, you know the drill. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, and you can ring my bell if you want notifications of when I post new content. Just click that little bell icon. Music fact of the day. You know, I thought the most played 90s song would be something from Garth Brooks, but it was Should Have Been a Cowboy by Toby Keith. That's a good song. I just want to give a big thank you to everybody who's donated. You guys are amazing. It helps me to keep doing what I love. Thank you so, so much. Also, a big thank you to Maria. Check this out. If you're watching on YouTube, she sent this mug to me yesterday. If you look, it's got Judge Boyce, all kinds of media people on here. It's got Tammy, Tylee, JJ, Charles, and more media people, Kay and Larry, Kresha. On the other side, I think, there's Annie Cushing over there. Then over here, yours truly, bottom center, right there. So I appreciate you. She does those mugs for people like first responders, police, and things like that. Just such a generous thing to do. So I appreciate you so much. Thanks to everybody for your well wishes for graduation yesterday. It went off without a hitch. I cried through half of it. Fruit Loop and Brienne hosted a graduation party up at the hiding place. It was very small and intimate. We had a great time. Just a perfect day. Last but not least, huge thank you to the mods that are holding down the fort in the live chat every day. We're streaming this. I'm headed to Boise on Sunday and I leave super early. Wanted to make sure I get there this time. I will be live streaming the trial next week, and I'm going to pop in and give some insight into what I see in the courtroom. So follow along with everybody on my channel live, and I'll let you know what's going on in there as far as what I can see. For today, the state is currently on direct with their last witness, and then they are resting. So I'll be there for Pryor's case. I'll be there all week. It would be amazing to be there when his kids testify. Not sure how long Pryor's expecting to go with his case, but we'll see. Let's jump into yesterday. Y'all, we heard a jail call that was bananas. I mean, I don't know if these people just forget that they're recording you in jail or if they thought talking in code was going to be so obscure that nobody would figure out what they were talking about, but they were wrong. We're going to jump into yesterday's testimony. We left off with Rick Wright on cross-exam. They don't have any information on where Chad was when Alex was on the property burying the kids. Pryor points out Alex's phone was at his apartment during that attempt on Tammy Daybell on October 9th, but, you know, they had a lot of burner phones, so not a big surprise. Pryor asked if Alex had been pinged near that Salem church other than the night Tammy was killed. The witness said they had him in the area 7 times, and if you're on YouTube, I mapped it out from the townhomes to Chad's church with a stop to Salem church. You can see it's right there on the way. He definitely would have passed by. That's about as many times as they had Alex, at least going by or stopping at Chad's. On redirect, what's the links between Alex and Tammy? Chad. Were Gibb and Warwick in town September 8th through the 9th? That's when Tylee was killed? No. She has the witness confirmed Tylee was back at the townhomes after Yellowstone. And on the day Tylee was buried, Alex stayed at Chad's 2.5 hours. The witness says Alex was at Chad's when Chad sent the raccoon text to Tammy. Prosecution asked, were you looking for a raccoon? And the witness says, no, we were looking for missing kids who were found on Chad's property. Boom. Next witness, Detective Hermosillo. He listened to these jail calls between Lori and Chad. He said they were talking 10 times or more a day. They bring in this jail call between Lori and Chad. This is the day before the kids' bodies were found. They had no clue what was being planned at the very moment they were having this phone conversation, but the clock was ticking. Time was almost up. I'm going to play this call now. I also have this call separately on YouTube with subtitles, but I think the audio is good enough to be able to put it on the podcast version as well. So let's listen to this.
Detective, I believe you testified you'd listened to many jail phone calls, correct?
Correct.
Just briefly, is there a reason why this jail phone call stuck out to you?
Yes. The content in which you're about to hear, what they were talking about and who they were referencing stuck out to us, yes.
And we spoke about that this jail phone call was recorded on June 8th of 2020. Did you Do you recall an event that took place on June 9th of 2020?
Yes.
What happened that day?
That was when we served the search warrant on the Daybell property and found Tylee and JJ.
And so did you listen to this June 8th recording before or after June 9th?
It was after June 9th.
And Your Honor, if I may publish by HDMI?
You may.
And Judge, for purposes, I'm going to ask that the entire audio recording be published.
You intend to publish the whole call, Mr. Wood, or an excerpt?
Your Honor, I intended to start the call in at about 6 minutes. I think if Mr. Pryor wants to play the rest during cross, he's certainly welcome to.
Yeah, I would agree. You can publish an excerpt if you'd like, and the entire call has been admitted. And if you wish to play other sections not played by the prosecution, you can do that on cross.
And for the record, Your Honor, I am going to start at 6:10 or 6:04. So that's where it's going to let me start.
Visions under pillars of fire. That's what you were reading.
Yeah.
It's at the very beginning.
If I can inquire, is that coming through the,
No, it's not.
And this was all still before the second coming. The Lord had ordained for us to begin the millennial day within Zion and her cities while war and chaos reigned everywhere else. So it was already like the millennium. They were already living millennial way
It's like a pocket. Yeah.
the whole time.
That's kind of how I've seen it. As begins with a family, and then a neighborhood, then a town, then a city. And New Jerusalem is kind of the best example of that.
Right.
Yeah, it starts small, but grows exponentially. It's will, and they're doing all they can to destroy one of the key families, but they're not going to.
I mean, there's so much that I know. I was sitting here thinking about that. I know too much.
Yes.
I can't deny it. I know it's just a matter of time. I just don't know what that timing is.
So I texted Ray. He responded pretty quick.
Detective, I'm going to pause it there. Did you hear Mr. Daybell say I texted Ray?
I did.
It's because my microphone wasn't up here. Yes, I can. Did you hear Mr. Daybell say that he texted Ray?
Yes, I did.
Through your investigation, did you become aware of any individual that had a nickname or alias of Ray?
Through our investigation, we learned that Alex Cox often went by Ray Lamar. We also associated a Gmail account through phone records back to Alex Cox, and that Gmail was raylamar@gmail.com.
Now, what was the date of this phone call again?
June 8th of 2020.
And was Alex Cox alive or dead at this time?
No, he was deceased.
Do you recall when he died?
December 12th of 2019.
Detective, through your investigation, did you find any information that Chad Daybell claimed to have the ability to speak with people who were deceased?
Judge, I'm going to object relevance.
Overruled.
Through our investigation, interviews with multiple witnesses that were close to him, through the teachings in his books, he would often talk about how he had the ability to see and speak with people on the other side of the veil.
And Your Honor, I'm going to resume playing at 7:34.
All right, before you do that, Mr. Wood, I think we might be able to assist on the audio.
Your Honor, I'm going to start playing at 7:34, and if the court can let me know if it's coming through the speakers.
All right, thank you.
Oh, that's good. Usually it's hard to get a hold of him. He's busy
Okay.
days.
Yes, but I asked him what we'd talked about, and he's very optimistic.
It was very optimistic for you, or he's very optimistic it could happen.
He's very optimistic for both of us.
He doesn't know his own project timeline.
He said, stick with it. What he projected in that paper he wrote.
You know, house renovations always take longer than they think.
That's the problem.
I've been watching that Extreme Pools,
Uh-huh.
and the people are like 3 months out. Like,
I mean,
when they estimated they'd have it done, and they're like, we had so many problems. We couldn't get to the backyard. We had to pull a crane over the house to get these huge rocks for the waterfall.
I can remember last summer, Taylor Hill, Mark's friend, parents moved into a trailer, like a camping trailer, in their driveway because they were going to build their house by the end of the year. Guess where they're still at?
Really?
They sold their house to their son. It's just a weird situation, but you're exactly right. Yeah, it takes forever.
Yeah, there's
Mhm.
always something well, we didn't know when we dug in your backyard, we were gonna find whatever. And then they're like, we have to redo all the piping, and then we had trouble with this, and then something else happened. And so, but they try to make it sound like it wasn't really that long, but it's always like, gonna take 3 months. And then 3 months after that, they're like, okay, it took 6 months. You couldn't come in your backyard at all. And now it's not summer anymore, now it's winter, and your pool is finally done.
Right.
Mostly they do it in Florida, like that. But. So he's optimistic about his construction problem, or construction
Problems.
not problems, but plan. His
Yeah,
construction plan, the blueprints are still intact.
yes.
Their timing.
And I kind of just said, I texted him what you just said is, you guys are always a little off.
Right, exactly. We just want a real estimate.
Right.
What do
He
you say?
just laughed. Did a
So
little-
he did not confirm nor deny that fact. That contractors are always
Oh,
later than they think they're gonna be.
He's like, it'll work out, how he is. He did want me to say he misses you, but he's not far from, contact. We can talk, we can text him whenever he wants.
Yeah, I can't text anybody. Have text.
It
You have
was,
to text for me. That's like me telling you, I need you to tell this person and talk to this person.
I'll text him back. But he's optimistic. I want to go visit him and grab him by the throat and say, really?
Can he? I know he's optimistic, but can he just make us any guarantees? I mean, we did make our down payments and everything else.
Guarantee.
It was like a guarantee, just an end date of our project.
Well, he knows you pretty well. So he just laughs. No, I asked him what he thought of the video project. He said it was really nice. He loved it.
Oh, good.
Detective, through your investigation, were you aware of any type of video put out about Alex Cox around this time?
Not around June 8th, but shortly after Alex Cox died, his sister Summer Shiflett made a YouTube video with clips of Alex, photos throughout his life, and put it to music. And so we viewed that early on in the investigation, but that's what is being referred to here.
Judge, I'm going to object. That calls for speculation. He can't speculate is what it calls for.
Untimely, overruled.
And Judge, I had stopped playing at 12:13. I'm gonna recommence playing at 12:13.
You may.
Yeah, oh, that's good. Although I'd never heard that song before. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's just something on like iMovie or something that's on your phone.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like one of the backgrounds that you can
Church
use or something.
found just a happy one. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
don't know, because I've never even heard that one, or I've never seen the app, but I know people can do that. iMovie, it was always on my iPhone. I just didn't ever click on it.
Yeah. The
So
frustratingly optimistic, I guess is.
so frustrating for us.
Yeah,
We're gonna be
that's what I
completed.
mean.
Thanks for completing your project on time. Will they get a bonus? They do it.
Oh, yeah, we'll give him a bonus. It was good. It was good to talk. I hadn't texted him in a while. So,
So he would still answer all my questions in the same way.
I think you ought to write down some questions for him and maybe even mail them off and see what happens. See if he'll respond to you. I have no doubt. Don't forget President Holland's talk. That snippet. He seemed like he wants to text you if he could. Yeah, it's all true. That's all I can say. They haven't forgotten.
I know they want to know. That's how I spelled it out. Oh.
Well, the truth
I'm
to
good. It's good. It's good.
that.
You know what I'm saying.
No, he's still very interested. He hasn't forgotten about us.
I know he has other projects. Know how much time that takes.
He's involved in this latest batch.
Wow. remind him when you do text him back that at the beginning of this project, he said there was only like a 3% chance that there would be trouble from certain aspects. And then there's like 100% trouble because that's where it all started. So find out about that.
Right.
See what he has to say for himself on that issue. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do.
Recall what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Judge, I'm going to stop at 1635. Detective, who is asking who to obtain information in that snippet we just heard?
Lori was asking Chad for information.
Your Honor, I'm going to continue playing at 1635.
You may.
So I want to know why that is 100% instead of 3% chance of having a problem.
I think he was somewhat right in that. The other aspect was other people. It was a combination.
I know it was a other publication, but that it's a combination of only, 5 problems.
I agree.
That was a big one.
It was a big one. Uh-huh.
My faith in those kinds of guarantees are lower.
Me too.
And beggars can't be choosers. I get that, but you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
It's not like I get to pick the colors of everything that I want. He's just gonna have to figure it out.
Right.
Since I'm here and I can't be in charge of the project, so.
Mhm. Yeah, and I've thought back on that entire scenario.
We went over the plan and the blueprint,
Mm-hmm.
and
And yeah, he said that wouldn't be a problem.
right,
Well,
let's take on that.
Oh.
Why was that?
it really was.
Right.
No, I don't doubt that. It just so
So go ahead.
you go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, so you think it was meant to have complications and meant to go that direction?
At some point, yeah.
Well, then you should have said, hey, this is a 99% chance that we're gonna have trouble with this soil,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's all we were asking.
Well,
Could this potentially be good, or do we have to fill it with sand?
I think we sensed that we shouldn't take it lightly, and I don't think we did. I mean, we only discussed the matter with the trouble once, and I thought we cut it off and did well, and now that problem is kind of causing its own trouble for itself.
Right, but there's other things in the project where when I'm going back over it, right, that I could have easily done or been inspired to do to avoid a lot of the issues that are gonna come up with that,
Yeah.
that we weren't made aware of, so you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I do.
So it was meant to go this way, you think, is what I'm saying.
I do. It's terrible. Minor changes here and there, but overall, this was part of the blueprint. I mean, I just wish it hadn't been. But I'm thinking of previous blueprints where the people weren't warned either. It's maddening. No raise in that contractor position for a reason, and he's not gonna drop us for another project.
Well, can't he like forcibly use a hand, punch some people in the face and get some things done? Some people in particular, like the 3%er person?
I don't think he wants to be violent, but Mhm.
Well, I'm not saying be violent. I'm saying get their attention.
Me too. What he did was kind of mute her effect. Just kind of kept her in her place for quite a while, to the point it almost diffused any value of her.
Talking about not that. in the beginnings, going back over the whole blueprint, all the things that we've been, I don't know what the word is, when you go through it. Anyway, a lot of that stuff could have been avoided,
Yeah.
just minor tweaks.
Yes.
And I don't know why it had to go down this road to where we are now in the project.
Mm-hmm. I know. I don't fully understand. I think he'd text you back or write you back.
Ultimately, what I need from you is that the project is going to be finished and everything is going to be fine and it's going to work out.
That's what he said.
Well, I need you to tell me that every day, several times.
Okay. My sweet, lovely Lola. Things are going to work out, not just because he says so, but because I know so. It's a marvelous plan. Slight
How do you know
hiccup.
so?
How do I know? It's been shown to me, honey. I've seen those beautiful eyes filled with tears as she sings to amazing groups of people, and I've seen that wonderful body dance to heavenly songs.
Your Honor, I'm stopping at 2641.
It's only beginning. It's hardly begun. And it will be the pair. It won't be solo. And it's going to be incredible.
Be cholo and not solo.
That's right. Yep. It will be the Eurythmics. No solo careers. I'm just absolutely sure. I was saying it will be the Eurythmics. It won't be two solo careers.
I know, but I'm saying, you said you have absolute what? Confidence?
Absolute assurity, confidence, confirmation. It's going to be as seen. There's some things that aren't going to be altered. Your value is tremendous, immense, and needed in every way. You're tremendous, my love. I know that is a fact. I think you underestimate yourself. I'm not trying to give you a big head or ego because you don't have one. You just are spectacular, and the Lord is going to use those talents. You're on earth at this time for that purpose. I'll try to call you back so we can pray. Okay.
If you haven't heard this yet, buckle up. There are no words to describe how I felt listening to this call with them giggling. I mean, literally, they giggle like my 12-year-old does when she's on a phone call with a friend. I think this phone call was powerful in probably what it was intended to do, which is show Chad as like the wackadoodle, great and powerful Oz in this relationship. Lori's asking him constantly for reassurance. And that's the point of this trial with Chad, is to show him as the mastermind and Lori always seeking the answers. In my opinion, it was very 50-50. They both had their own areas of specialty, I guess you could say, in this relationship. This is an amazing example of zero remorse, giggly, knowing what they know, where the kids are, these talking in code. What surprised me, apparently, there's internet in hell because Chad says he's texting Alex, who is dead. Interesting when they talk about the combination of 5 problems. You can theorize what that might mean. Lori says when talking about Alex on the other side, I know he's optimistic, but can he just make us any guarantees? I mean, we did make our down payment. And to me, the down payment would be JJ, Tylee, Charles, and Tammy. Kind of thought at that point where they're talking about this trailer being in the yard, if they're talking about Chad wanting to put that mobile home on the property, we don't know where that was actually going to be placed. I wish they would have found somebody who went out there to talk about it with him to say where he wanted to put it. If it happened, I'm not sure it did, but I've always wondered. Another thing that stuck out was Lori talking about they were told a 3% chance of problems, but it turned out to be 100%. Totally think that's about getting caught. She's in jail. Also, they talk about things weren't meant to go this way. And Lori says, know what I'm saying? And Chad says, I do. It's terrible. Minor changes here and there, but overall, this is part of the blueprint. Another thing is when Lori said they could have made tweaks that would have worked better, you have to wonder at this point, is she thinking not to have killed the kids? Lori says, you think it was meant to have complications and meant to go that direction? Chad says at some point, yeah. Lori says, well, you should have said, hey, this is a 99% chance we're going to have trouble with this soil. And Chad says, yeah, absolutely think she's talking about the kids being considered missing and knowing ultimately where they were. And for this is totally my 2 cents and my speculation, but Chad talks about what he did is kind of mute her effect. This kind of kept her in her place for quite a while, to the point it's almost diffused any value. Not sure what he means with this. My mind goes to Tylee a bit. Mute her effect. What do you guys think? Lori says, I don't know why it had to go down this road, where we are now in the project, and says she needs him to tell her several times a day that the project is going to be finished and everything is going to work out. Again, the state just pointing out that Chad was the mastermind and Lori always went to him for confirmation. Chad does ask Lori for confirmation on things sometimes. I really do believe that's part of the manipulation process. I think that gives Lori a feeling of power between the two psychopaths. I think Lori brought the goods, if you know what I mean, to Chad, and she was looking for that spiritual equal that Charles never was for her. And then we know now Chad was believing in this stuff way before Lori, and he just met somebody gullible enough and stupid enough to buy into it. And then all this happened. On Cross, Pryor asked if Chad was building a village for the second coming and the end times. Hermosillo says he talked about putting up tents. I love Hermosillo on this Cross. He is not budging. He's not giving Pryor an inch. Pryor asked about Lori saying she doesn't get to pick the color she wants. And then he asked if that would suggest they were planning to build something. And Hermosillo's like, no. Is there anything in there about building things? No. He asked if Chad talked about having a place of refuge in Rexburg after the second coming. And Detective Hermosillo, he was like, I don't know what Chad was planning in the future. None of us do, Detective. Pryor has some defense exhibits admitted showing things that were found in Lori's townhouse when they executed that search warrant the day after everybody scattered like cockroaches. They found gloves, bags of concrete, a tarp, a gun cleaning kit, knife, saw, bucket, tape. Points out knives and guns were found as well. The next witness, Attorney General Lead Investigator Nicholas Edwards. Most of his investigation in the case revolved around Tammy Daybell. He did look at phone data and interviewed people. He goes through a timeline of the entire case from when Lori and Chad met beginning October 26th in St. George, Utah at a conference. Next, November 16th and 17th, 2018, Chad goes to Arizona and stays with Lori. That's just a couple of weeks after they met. Back to Arizona on January 6th through the 10th, Charles and Lori's divorce initiated February 8th, 2019. He points out there was never any indication Chad was going to divorce Tammy. We see a lot of cases where spouses are killed and there's not a monetary gain. I think religions across the board need to normalize divorce, and they need to make sure congregations know it's okay. If you're being abused, please get out. That's what whatever entity you worship would want. And also, if you're just not happy and you're going to step out on your spouse all the time, move on. Nobody needs to die. But I'm not a preacher. Chad's back in Arizona, March 19th through the 21st. Lori paid for the ticket. They're just two grifters grifting off each other. April 2nd through the 4th, Lori goes to Idaho Falls. May 5th through the 7th, 2019, Chad and Lori both searching for malachite rings. June 29th, that's when Charles emails Tammy and Chad both about the affair. July 11th, Charles is killed by Alex Cox. 2 days after that, on July 13th, Chad texts Lori saying that he's going to snuggle with her and needs to gently kiss her for hours, which would lead to other activities. Lori says, likely or luckily, and Chad's like, it would luckily lead to nakedness. Y'all, this is so cheesy. I mean, honestly, like if a guy said this stuff to me, I would change my phone number, but I'm not Lori Vallow. Moving on. July 18th, Lori texts Chad after she finds out she's not the beneficiary of Charles's $1 million life insurance policy, saying it was probably Ned before we got rid of him. I'm going to be curious to see if Chad is charged with conspiracy for Charles and Brandon after this trial's over, like his darling wife Lori was just last year. July 26th, Chad texts Lori saying he feels like the adult version of Harry Potter. He gets to see his goddess lover every few weeks, but has to return to the room under the stairs, feeling trapped, but I sense permanent freedom is coming. Big text for that jury to hear. Because at this point, Charles, he's been killed. What's in the way of their Hawaii beach wedding? Tammy Daybell. July 30th, Chad tells Lori that Tammy feels like her body and spirit are separate. In August, Chad flies to Arizona. He stays with Lori. Again, the kids are alive at this point. This is likely when Tylee met Chad, I think, for the first time, JJ as well. Clearly, something about this trip or any other interaction she had with him, she didn't like him, and Chad said so himself. August 14th, Lori takes a screenshot of malachite wedding rings. September 9th, Tylee buried on Chad's property. September 15th, Zulema travels to Rexburg. Chad texts Lori to have Zulema lie in a text saying that she wants Chad to come hear her speak about her trip to Chile. This does happen, and Chad goes to hang out with his goddess lover. September 23rd, JJ Vallow buried on Chad Daybell's property. October 3rd, more text from Chad saying that he's excited to go on their date. October 4th, Chad tells Tammy her deceased grandmother said she should go visit her parents in Utah, and she does. Chad tells Lori he's trying to hasten Tammy's departure. It's dragging on here, but I should be at your house around 11:15. Lori texts Alex that her and Chad are supposed to go on a real date that night, but maybe an evening home would be better, so they're not out and about. She says she would let him know and says he can come sing with them after his shower. October 5th, Chad texts Lori that Tammy is in limbo and that she is a level 3 demonic entity named Viola. He said it happened around 10 p.m. He said it was done by Tammy's sister, Samantha, and the entity came from Samantha's daughter. He says that he's always known Samantha was a 3 dark and compares her to Brandon. He says she's been a big obstacle and she didn't come visit them in Idaho. He says he has talked to Tammy while she's in limbo and she's frustrated. He tells Lori to get confirmation of this. October 7th, 2 days before the attempt on Tammy, Alex goes to the gun range and he also searches for the Grendel drop from 1 to 200 yards and then 1 to 300 yards. October the 9th, Tammy is shot at. Chad uses a phone with a 401 area code. By the way, that phone never been found. Between October 9th and 10th, there were texts between Alex and Chad after 1 p.m. Both of those devices were near Alex's townhouse. There were also several texts on Chad Daybell's main phone, that phone again pinging near Alex's townhouse. Throughout that morning of the 9th into the 10th, there's 90 or more calls and texts between Lori, Chad, Alex, and Zulema. That is a lot. Between 7:13 and 8:43 p.m., Chad and Alex text 15 times, 4 more within a minute from 10:28 to 10:29. The day of the attempt on Tammy, Alex goes to Sportsman's Warehouse that afternoon. He buys those pants as well as the ski mask, among other items. And at 4:51, he drives by Chad's place. The 911 call from Tammy and Chad's son-in-law, Joseph Murray, husband to Emma, comes in at 9:41. He also reminds the jury that Tammy emailed her son, Mark. The incident happened about 9:15 and points out there was a delay in the incident and when 911 was called. While police were at the house responding to the attempt on Tammy, Chad and Alex text, and also Lori and Chad. Alex and Zulema talk at 11:28 p.m. and they talk for half an hour. Also, that was something that stuck out to investigators. They mentioned that last year at Lori's trial, they didn't talk this long and not usually this late. Prosecutor Blake gets the witness to say that a scope on a gun could be mistaken for a hopper. Lori and Chad text 6 times between 5 p.m. till after midnight as well. October 11th, Alex searches for what caliber of bullet would penetrate a windshield. He also searches for a 2008 Dodge Dakota and the steel thickness of a projectile going through the body of the car. October 18th, we usually refer to this as the night before Tammy was killed. I totally believe now this is the night she was killed. Alex is at that church 2.5 miles from the Daybell home. They know that from 10:07 to 10:45 he's there, but that signal goes away for over an hour. Tammy's phone showed she was playing games at 10:22. A photo is deleted from Tammy's phone 11:28 p.m. You have to wonder, what was that photo? 11:34 to 11:35, there are 2 texts exchanged between Chad and Lori. The day after Tammy dies, Lori texts Chad saying she needs him to hold her and she misses him. She asked if he should fly to Hawaii or Lori come back to Rexburg. Chad tells her to come home so they can have a little sleepover. He also says he has to take care of financial matters. Remember, Tammy died on a Saturday. First thing that Monday morning, he is in the office of the Human Resources inquiring about getting that life insurance payout. He also tells Lori to be on a lookout for a condo in Hawaii. And he says he wants to start the Lily workout plan, flatten my stomach, get a tan, grow my hair. Chad tells Lori that he's sad, but not for the reason everybody thinks. He tells Lori he has to meet with the mortuary and he wants to talk to her, but he has to get his parents to leave first. He tells Lori he loves her and he is eagerly awaiting their alone time. The witness talks about the life insurance of $300,000, that additional $130,000 Tammy had through her job. November 24th, that's the date Chad gives Alex the patriarchal blessing. December 1st, Chad Googles Rexburg PD, and also on December 5th, he Googles Tammy's obituary. December 11th, Tammy Daybell is exhumed. The next day, Alex Cox drops over dead. You'll never convince me it was a coincidence. December 16th, Chad is looking up authorization to disinter a body in Utah Administrative Code, Springville City. The witness was there at Chad's when they found JJ, by the way. On cross, did you track calls between Lori and Chad daily? No, only relevant dates. Pryor asked if it's unusual for two people who are in love to Google each other. I could so make a joke here, but I'm going to pass. The witness says it's not uncommon. The witness does not know if Tammy blocked Charles's emails. Pryor talks about the loin fire story and says it could have nothing to do with the murder of 3 people. The witness disagrees. Pryor asked, where does it say, let's kill 2 kids? And the witness says it doesn't. Pryor asked if the text between Alex and Chad from the day Tammy was shot at could have been duplicates. The witness doesn't know. On October 9th, Pryor says Tammy was shot at. And then on the 11th, Alex Googles how to drill baffles for a suppressor and how to make your own silencer. Whatever happened on the 9th where that gun did not fire correctly, I fully believe Alex had a silencer on there and it misfired. But that's just my 2 cents. I'm not a gun expert. Pryor asked where Alex's phone was the night Tammy was killed from 10:45 to 11:53. The witness says there's no data. I totally believe between these times is when Tammy Daybell was killed. At this point, y'all, I really think it was Alex who physically killed Tammy. Chad either held her down or stood back. I would think he probably held her down. They had plenty of time. Garth didn't get off work till 1 a.m. Pryor asked when the life insurance policy for the $300,000 that Tammy had was taken out. That was in 2002. On redirect, prosecutor Blake points out that Alex and Chad were texting in the time frame of the attempt on Tammy. She also ends it. Where were the kids found? Chad Daybell's property. Mic drop. Boom. Like I said, last witness for the state is up now. I'll recap that later tonight. Sarah Rose has her sports awards banquet. Hoping to get that out before then, but we'll see. Last episode coming up before I head out there. For next week, by the way, we're getting out at 3:30 every day. So I'm hoping to have the episodes out before too late. Cross your fingers and your toes. The Wi-Fi is good where I'm at. It can be a big challenge uploading these episodes, especially to YouTube, or it drops off and my audio messes up and I don't know until I'm going back to edit. Huge pain, but I'm going to bring it to you. I'm going to be going live, hopefully at lunchtime every single day from my car and talk to you guys about what's happening in the courtroom. Just answer questions. So keep your eyes here next week. Big week. Didn't think I was going to make it up this trial after it didn't work out last time for the memorial, but I'm going. And I can't wait to see a lot of familiar faces and give some hugs. Me and Fruit Loop started this podcast on the day we saw Nate Eaton circling that property and the day they found the kids' bodies. So it does feel very full circle to be going back up towards the end of Chad's trial. We can get justice for JJ, Tylee, Tammy, and for me, Charles, too. All right, guys, until this evening, hope you guys have a good rest of your afternoon. We'll see you soon.